Nationally, fire occurs at Ready Fried Chicken restaurant. Fire officials say no lives lost. And Nevis's premier gives update on recreational park at Pinnis. Regionally, Guyanese to go to the polls on March 2nd, 2020. Internationally, White House tried to hide Trump-Ukraine transcript. And in sports, Guyana Amazon Warriors beat St. Lucia Zouks in CPL matchup. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Days after a food... Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. Days after a fruit and vegetable stand was destroyed by a mysterious fire here on Nevis, a fire occurred at a Ready Fried Chicken restaurant in Bastia, St. Kitts at around 9:45 this morning, September 26. The VON Newsline spoke with Chief Fire Officer at the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Services, Mr. Everett O'Garo, who provided this information.
We responded to a report of a fire at the Ready Fry restaurant located in Bastia, just across from the Pelican Mall. On arrival at the scene, the men observed smoke coming from the rear section of the restaurant. They, as usual, went into action quickly and was able to extinguish the fire and prevent it from spreading to other areas of the facility. Further investigations revealed that the fire would have started in a kitchen that is located in the rear section of the restaurant. The contents of the kitchen included 2 deep fries and a regular stove. All the contents of the kitchen was destroyed in the fire. More investigations leading to the fact that the fire would have originated in that kitchen area and it would have resulted from buildup of grease in and around the deep fries. No personal injuries was sustained.
We also asked the fire chief, was there any possible sign that arson was suspected?
Presently, we are not suspecting arson. The evidence that we would have found at the scene is not leading to that. However, we would await the final determination of the investigation into the cause of the fire to make a full determination as to what was the cause of the fire.
Services, Mr. Everett O'Garo. Mr. O'Garo did state that the investigation into the matter continues. The intention has always been to commence construction of the recreational park at Pinnis here in Nevis this year, according to Nevis's Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley. This comment came as he was giving an update on the project. On Sunday, July 14th, a symbolic groundbreaking ceremony was held here on Nevis. At that ceremony, groundbreaking for the project was done by Premier Brantley and Taiwan's President, Dr. Tsai Ing-wen. The $3 million project is jointly funded by the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the Nevis Island Administration.
We have a resident consultant from Taiwan, Vincent Lai, and he is lead on the project. That project is well and truly on the way. We have already commenced the propagation of plants that will be used at Pinnis Park. 2 areas have been designated at Catesby for that purpose. We have decided to proceed with a Taiwanese company, Quan Jun Construction Company, to build the Pinnis Beach Park. The reason for that is that they have good experience. They were the ones to build the Eco Park in St. Kitts, and we are working closely with them. We will sign that contract, we hope, shortly. And within 3 months of the construction contract being signed, we will have detailed architectural and landscape drawings. And, of course, we will undertake the necessary environmental impact assessment.
Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley. In more national news.
The profession is undergoing change, evolution, and one of them really has to do with stereotypes, gender diversity, and how one can attract more males in the profession.
That was host of the Working For You program, Mr. Lesroy Williams. Members of the Retired Energetic Nurses Touching All Lives rental group spoke about the importance of males in the nursing profession on this week's edition of Working For You. Mr. Williams highlighted some of the issues that men face when their interests turn towards nursing.
I think that part of the problem why more males do not go into nursing is one, it has been branded as a female profession. And two, males who go into nursing, people seem to think that they're gay. But even if they were, so what? But the issue has always been that of discrimination, stereotype, based on work.
Other stereotypes made towards males include male nurses being considered not smart enough to obtain a doctorate. However, President of Rental, Miss Mary Liebert, spoke about the involvement of men in the profession.
According to the American Nurses Association journal, male nurses used to serve from way back, as far as in the Civil War. Men and women served in that time. So men were in nursing for quite a long time. It's not new.
According to MinorityNurses.com, male nurses are bringing balance to the profession which benefits patients as a whole. Secretary of Rental, Dolores Gums, spoke about the potential need for men in the profession here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Right now there is a need. We have a need for male nurses. When you look at the violence that you see taking place in hospitals and the nurses are all female, there is no fear that they could walk in and do whatever. But probably if there was one or two male nurses, it will prevent all that violence.
Secretary of Rental, Dolores Gums. Rental is organizing a conference under the theme Male Nurses, Why Not? The event will be held at the conference room of the Ocean Terrace in OTI from October 24th to the 26th, 2019. St. Kitts and Nevis' Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, lead spokesman for the Caribbean Community CARICOM on Human Resources, Health and HIV/AIDS, made a case for why small island states in the Caribbean should strengthen cooperation with India in the health sector and other areas that are critical to their development. He made that plea at the CARICOM India Summit level meeting in New York, which was co-chaired by CARICOM Chairman Prime Minister the Honorable Alan Chastney of St. Lucia and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. At that meeting, India's Prime Minister the Honorable Modi announced a $14 million grant for community development projects in the Caribbean Community CARICOM and another $150 million line of credit for solar, renewable energy and climate change related projects. Independence Day was celebrated at the Embassy of St. Kitts and Nevis in Havana on Thursday evening, September 19th. The first anniversary of SKN's independence was held on the grounds of the embassy since its relocation last year. The diplomatic reception commenced with the National Assemblies of Cuba and St. Kitts and Nevis. The proceedings were chaired by the embassy's counselor, Mr. Michael Esdale, who in his greetings gave a brief yet poetic description of the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis. The Federation's ambassador, H.E. Verna Mills, then delivered remarks on St. Kitts and Nevis's continued success in education, health, sports, and its shared values and friendship with Cuba, which has been a great supporter through the years. Also attending were ambassadors and other members of diplomatic corps from the Caribbean, North America, Africa, Europe, and St. Kitts and Nevis students based in Havana. 1 week after the recently concluded St. Thomas's Parish Festival, STT Fest 2019, the committee's PRO, Mr. Roger Hanling, has expressed his delight in the festival which was held here in Nevis. STT Fest 2019, which was held from Thursday, September 12th to Thursday, September 19th, featured a week of activities and were all held under the slogan, Keeping the Vibes Live and Supreme STT Fest 2019.
This year for the festival, we faced a few hiccups because of conflicting events such as the CPL that was in St. Kitts and also inclement weather conditions, which we would have actually postponed one of our events. But overall, in terms of turnout and so forth, it was very good. I can see that we achieved our overall aim, which is to ensure that we bring the community together. So for me, I would feel that once that goal is achieved, then everybody is actually happy at the end of the day.
Mr. Hanley also encouraged persons to be part of the festival's committee.
I just want to say thanks to everyone who came out to support the festival this year. And I'm also going to be making an appeal for persons who are looking to assist us to become members of the committee, whether it's the executive or the general committee. They can also reach out to myself or Ms. Tamara Farrell, who is the current chairperson.
PRO of SCT Fest 2019 Committee, Mr. Roger Hanley. And finally, in our national news.
We will celebrate this year on October 16th our World Food Day, and this is to the Ministry of Agriculture. And the theme this year in our actions are our future, health diet for a zero hunger world. This is what we're seeking to promote, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about it as we go.
That's Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley. World Food Day is celebrated every year around the world on October 16th. The day is celebrated widely by many other organizations concerned with food security. It was established in November 1979. It has been observed annually in more than 150 countries, raising awareness of the issues behind poverty and hunger. Meanwhile, as part of an effort to encourage the young people to become involved in agriculture here in Nevis, Mr. Brantley said that a program was held during the summer to promote agriculture.
The Department of Agriculture also hosted the 21st Annual Student Job Attachment Program over the summer, and students were exposed to all that the department does, including vet services, abattoir and meat processing, plant propagation, agro-processing, marketing and extension services.
The Honorable Mark Brantley. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering, with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back, and all the regional news in detail. March 2nd, 2020 will be Elections Day in Guyana. President David Granger announced the date during an address to the nation last evening, September 25th, saying it was the earliest possible occasion to hold general and regional elections, given the time that the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, says it will be ready to hold the polls according to Caribbean 360. His announcement came just shy of a week after GECOM chairman, retired Justice Claudette Singh, wrote to him indicating that the elections body would be able to deliver credible elections by the end of February next year. The president said that hours after receiving that correspondence on September 19th, he convened a meeting of available cabinet ministers to discuss the timeline provided, and that was followed by a second meeting of the full cabinet on Tuesday, when all members accepted the advice provided by the GECOM chairman. Guyanese can now look to the Elections Commission to conduct credible elections within the time frame prescribed. We are on the right path to preserve our precious parliamentary democracy, he added. The polls will come more than a year after the coalition government lost a no-confidence vote in the National Assembly last year. All indications are that Karen will not be a very strong system due to an increase in vertical wind shear. In fact, most global computer models show Karen degenerating into a non-tropical low-pressure area by Monday of next week. Since the storm will remain over warm water, we are maintaining it as a very weak tropical storm into early next week for now. But if current model trends of weakening Karen continue, then we will lower our intensity forecast for Karen further. Hurricane Lorenzo remains a very favorable environment for intensifying. The hurricane has winds of 125 miles per hour, which makes it a Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. If it attains a maximum sustained wind of 130 miles per hour, it will become a Category 4 hurricane. At the rate Lorenzo is intensifying, it could become a Category 4 hurricane within the next few hours. Current computer forecasts show an increase in vertical wind shear developing over the hurricane Friday and Friday night. This might halt the intensification process. Out of St. Martin. Parliament on Wednesday passed a motion of no confidence against 5 of the 6 members of the Council of Ministers, as well as the Minister and Deputy Minister Plenipotentiary, with an instruction for Prime Minister Leona Romeo Marlin and Justice Minister Cornelius de Wever be removed from office effective immediately. The no confidence motion was passed against Romeo Marlin, de Wever, Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, ECYS, Wycliffe Smith, Finance Minister Perry Gerlins, Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunications Minister Stuart Johnson, Minister Plenipotentiary Jorian White, and Deputy Minister Plenipotentiary Michael Summersall. The motion stated that the former governing coalition crumbled on its own, imploded and fell apart in the decision to dissolve Parliament at this time, and saddle the electorate with another election is selfish, politically motivated, and a blatant abuse of our Constitution. The motion, which was tabled by National Alliance NA Member of Parliament Sylvia Jacobs, was passed by 9 MPs from the new majority coalition, voting in favour. It condemned the decision of the majority of the Council of Ministers to invoke Article 59 of the Constitution. It also instructed the caretaker Council of Ministers not to make any decisions collectively or individually to appoint or dismiss any members from any supervisory board or management board of any government-owned company or entity such as, but not limited to, GEBE, Telem, Princess Juliana International Airport Holding Company, PJIAH, and the Airport Operating Company, PJIAE, St. Martin Housing Development Foundation, and the Harbour Group of Companies. Minister of Public Housing, Environment, Spatial Development and Infrastructure, Christopher Weaver, was spared the motion of no confidence and will remain on as Minister. And finally, out of Dominica. Leader of the opposition, Lennox Linton, has announced a series of actions to be taken in furtherance of his party's campaign to get Prime Minister Skerrit to account for $1.2 billion of Citizenship by Investment CBI funds that was not included in the 2019-2020 national budget, which Mr. Skerrit, as Minister of Finance, presented to Parliament in July. The Prime Minister has revealed that the money was generated under the housing option of the CBI program and admitted that it had been included in the budget. The total budget figure would have been about $1 billion to $1.2 billion more, DominicanNewsOnline.com says. At a public meeting of the UWP on September 6, 2019, Linton gave Skerrit until the 20th of September 2019 to properly account for the $1.2 billion. He went on to say that as the parliamentary opposition sworn to protect the interests of the Dominican people, they are left with no choice but to proceed with the following actions. The opposition-initiated actions will also include a campaign of civil disobedience all over Dominica until the list of electors is cleaned, ID cards for voters are issued, and missing $1.2 billion is properly and completely accounted for. Civil disobedience, also called passive resistance, is a refusal to obey the demands or commands of a government or occupying power without resorting to violence or active measures of opposition. Its usual purpose is to force concessions from the government or occupying power. And that's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Trump administration officials try to lock down all details of the U.S. president's phone call to Ukraine's leader, according to a whistleblower's report. In the call, Donald Trump pushed Vladimir Zelensky to investigate corruption claims involving Joe Biden's son. The newly released report says the transcript was not stored in the computer system normally used for such information. Instead, it says it was stored in a separate system used to store classified information of an especially sensitive nature. Mr. Biden, the leading Democratic presidential hopeful, says a rough transcript of the conversation released on Wednesday shows the president betrayed his oath of office. Jacques Chirac, the former French president who championed the European Union, but whose later years were blighted by corruption scandals, has died aged 86. President Jacques Chirac died this morning surrounded by his family peacefully, his son-in-law told AFP. Chirac served 2 terms as president and twice as PM and took France into the single European currency. The French National Assembly observed a minute's silence in his memory. The BBC's Hugh Scoffian reports.
He was a unifier. He was somebody who had his roots in the countryside, who loved quaffing beer and eating tête de veau, calf's head stew or pâté. He was a bit Catholic, but not too much. He was certainly not too right-wing. He was bourgeois, but not too much. He was able to talk to farmers. The farmers loved him. He was someone who represented France, an emblem of France that people could identify with.
Hong Kong's leader, Carrie Lam, has been taking part in a televised public meeting to discuss the protests that have gripped the territory for over 3 months. The BBC's Stephen McDonnell reports from Hong Kong.
Outside the venue, a crowd of protesters chant slogans. Inside, the mood is more polite, but the questions have been anything but soft. Carrie Lam has been asked again and again why she won't hold a genuinely independent inquiry into allegations of police brutality during this crisis. The chief executive responded that the existing police complaints mechanism is sufficient, adding that she welcomed the questions because dialogue represents the best path forward. Critics have described this televised event as a piece of political theatre.
And finally, the body of Robert Mugabe will be buried in his hometown following a final twist in a row over the former Zimbabwean leader's resting place. Mugabe died this month, aged 95, and a funeral was held in the capital, Harare. The government had resisted his family's wish for him to be buried in his home region of Zivimba, deciding that he should lay in Heroes Acre, a national monument and burial ground. The family eventually consented, but on Thursday, the government backtracked. He was not immediately cleared when prompted the late change in plans. The Mugabe family had appeared content with the burial at Heroes Acre after it was agreed that a mausoleum would be built for the former leader. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Upgrade or renovate your business or home office space? Then this information is just for you. TDC is having a massive furniture sale. Yes, the prices have been slashed. Save up to 20, 30, 40, 60, no, 70. Save up to 75% off office furniture. Visit our office furniture showrooms today in St. Kitts and Nevis. See stores for details. Offer good while stocks last.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In CPL cricket. Cricket player Brandon King's unbeaten 81 helped Guyana Amazon Warriors make a 7 wins out of 7 to start their 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League CPL campaign with an 8-wicket victory over St. Lucia Dukes at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. The Warriors are assured of a top 2 finish, a place in the first qualifier and a place in the final. The Zooks remain in 4th place but will need to win both their remaining games to qualify, given the Tridents are just a point behind from winning the last 2 games. Summarize scores. Guyana Amazon Warriors 162 for 2 beat St. Lucia Zooks 161 for 7. The CPL matches continue this evening with the Barbados Tridents versus Trinbago Knight Riders 6 p.m. at the Kensington Oval in Barbados. Then on Friday, September 27th, the St. Lucia Zooks versus Jamaica Tallowers at 8 p.m. at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds. The St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots donated $1,500 to the Pediatric Assistance League PALS during a brief presentation on Friday morning at Warner Park. Chief Operations Officer of the Patriots, Richard Berridge, during the handing over, said the Patriots were delighted to make the donation to PALS and want to continue their support. Giselle Matthews, president of PALS, expressed gratitude to the Patriots for the donation. The Patriots continue their late but successful run in the 2019 Caribbean Premier League season, winning their last 3 matches and are in pole position to make the playoffs. 2 of those matches were at home, the final one on September 17 in an exciting super over against the defending champions, Trinbago Knight Riders. They currently rank 3rd in the 6-point table and have 2 remaining away games against the St. Lucia Zooks, which was played on September 24th, and Barbados Tridents, which will be on September 28th. In athletics, Britain's Dina Asher-Smith is hoping to create history as she leads Britain's hopes of winning medals at the World Athletics Championships, which begin on Friday. No British woman has won a world sprint title. In 1983, Kathy Cook won 200-meter bronze and helped the 4x100-meter relay team finish second behind East Germany. Asher-Smith, 23, won this year's 100-meter Diamond League title and goes to Doha with hopes of winning 3 medals. Best women's times in 2019 in the 100 meters. Elaine Thompson of Jamaica, 10.73 seconds. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price of Jamaica, 10.73 seconds. Sha'Carri Richardson of the USA, 10.75 seconds. Dina Asher-Smith of Great Britain, 10.88 seconds. And Marie Jose Talou, 10.93 seconds. And finally, in tennis. The Australian tennis player Nick Kyrgios has received a suspended 16-run ban and $25,000 fine for aggravated behavior subject to a 6-month probationary period. Mr. Kyrgios smashed 2 rackets in a bad-tempered Cincinnati Masters defeat by Karen Khachanov in August. He was later fined $113,000 for 5 separate offenses. However, an ATP investigation determined Kyrgios' pattern of behavior over the past 12 months to be in violation of the governing body's code. Both fine and suspension will be triggered if the 24-year-old does not comply with certain conditions, including avoiding any other further code violations, incurring a fine. And that brings us to the end of our sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Another local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be fair with a 10% or slight chance of showers. Weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of showers. Winds tonight are east to southeast at 7 to 15 kilometers per hour or 4 to 8 knots. Tomorrow, easterly at 9 to 19 kilometers per hour or 5 to 10 knots. Seas are 0.6 to 1 meters or 2 to 3 feet. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:01 a.m. And that's our wrap up the media news package for today, Thursday, 26th September 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, fire occurs at Ready 5 Chicken restaurant, fire officials say no lives lost. Nevis' premier gives update on recreational park at Pennies. Regionally, Guyanese to go to the polls on March 2, 2020. Internationally, White House tried to hide Trump-Ukraine transcript. And in sports, Guyana Amazon Warriors beat St. Lucia Zooks in CPL matchup. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.